Secrets silently traverse generations, unspoken. They move among ordinary people through crises, wars, bankruptcies, and fortunes, yet remain invisible to most. Today, I'm not here to talk about gold, banks, or inheritances. Instead, I'll talk about the most dangerous and potent force within you, your belief. For it is your belief that day after day determines your path towards prosperity or poverty, often without your conscious awareness. Many attribute their wealth to luck, a golden opportunity, or a twist of fate. But the truth is both harsher and simpler. No one ever truly surpasses the boundaries of what they fundamentally believe to be possible. A person might aspire to wealth, but if, deep down, they harbor beliefs that money is tainted, dangerous, or exclusively for a select few, they will invariably sabotage every opportunity that comes their way. How many times has this played out in your own life? How often has an opportunity presented itself only for you to retreat? How many times have you thought, "This isn't for me. People like me don't get rich," or "once poor, always poor"? These aren't mere words. They are direct commands you issue to your own existence. From an early age, I noticed that people don't fail due to a lack of talent or effort. They fail because they carry within their minds a defeated self-image. They work diligently, rise before dawn, sacrifice their health, yet deep down they feel undeserving of abundance. And anything the mind rejects, life dutifully pushes away. Most people fear money, even when they claim otherwise. Fear of losing it, fear of making mistakes, fear of judgment, fear of seeming overly ambitious. And fear is a loyal jailer, keeping individuals confined even when the prison door stands wide open. Have you ever noticed how common it is for someone to suddenly earn a substantial amount, only to lose it all shortly thereafter? As if an unseen force pulls them back to their familiar starting point. This isn't misfortune, it's mental consistency. Life invariably aligns with your dominant belief. In my own journey, I have witnessed uneducated individuals, devoid of privilege or a prestigious family name, build empires. Conversely, I've seen others, blessed with brilliant intellect and rare opportunities, sink into destitution. The difference was never in their hands, it resided within their minds. There was one night I will never forget. I found myself seated opposite one of the wealthiest men ever to walk this earth, Andrew Carnegie. As he spoke, what captivated me most wasn't his immense fortune, but the unwavering conviction with which he perceived his own destiny. There was no trace of doubt in his voice, no hesitation in his demeanor. He didn't just believe he would become rich, he already saw himself as a man of wealth long before the world acknowledged it. In that moment, something within me resonated deeply. It wasn't joy, but a profound shock, a surge of deep fear. I realized that if I didn't fundamentally alter my self-perception, I would remain stuck exactly where I was. It was then that I truly grasped that wealth doesn't originate in one's pockets. It begins in one's identity. You can conceal your financial situation from others, but you can never hide from yourself what you truly believe about money. If deep down you believe there's always scarcity, then scarcity will follow you. If you believe you'll always just get by, life will ensure you survive, but never truly prosper. If you believe abundance is reserved for a select few, then the multitude will remain your perpetual dwelling place. Poverty is not merely the absence of money, it is a mental pattern reiterated until it becomes a comfortable prison. And the most dangerous prison of all is the one from which the prisoner no longer even attempts to escape. Over the years, I've noticed something that might appear cruel. Most people actually prefer the perceived security of scarcity over the inherent risks of abundance. While poverty is painful, the responsibility of creating one's own wealth often proves even more frightening. When life goes awry, people readily blame the government, their family, their boss, the weather, or any prevailing crisis. But when the opportunity to truly prosper arises, they retreat, because at that point, there's no one else to blame, only themselves. The mind then fabricates narratives to justify inaction or failure. Money corrupts. Those who get rich lose their soul, or only the dishonest truly succeed. These are merely emotional crutches used to avoid personal growth. An invisible law governs us all. We advance precisely as far as we believe we deserve, not a single step further. If you perceive yourself as small, you will lead a small life, even when the world offers you something grander. A powerful belief alone changes nothing if your actions don't align. It is your behavior that must align with your belief. Life doesn't respond to your requests, it responds to your conviction. And conviction isn't what you articulate aloud, it's what you accept as truth when no one else is listening. Consider your own history. How many times have you given up before even trying? How often have you settled for meager outcomes to avoid the risk of losing everything? How many sleepless nights have you endured, consumed by worries about bills, the future, or the gnawing fear of scarcity? These fears don't originate from money itself. They stem from the deep-seated belief that you are incapable of generating more. External wealth is merely a delayed reflection of internal wealth. Where the mind refuses to venture, the body will never arrive. While some spend their entire lives striving to multiply money, the truly wise first endeavor to multiply their faith in themselves. Because when belief shifts, destiny inevitably follows suit. Poverty begins the moment one decides it's futile to try. Wealth conversely blossoms when an individual resolves to no longer accept living beneath the level of what they are capable of becoming. Following that pivotal night, I began to observe something with almost obsessive attention. The way people discuss money when they genuinely believe no one else is listening. It is in those unguarded moments that the truth emerges. In public, everyone declares their desire for prosperity. Yet in private, they confess that money itself is frightening, that true wealth feels unattainable, and that life is simply too challenging to dare to dream grandly. And it is precisely then that belief reveals who truly governs one's existence. Because no one can build a reality greater than the self-image they hold. Most don't fail from a lack of opportunity, they fail from an excess of self-limitation. How many individuals do you know who labor their entire lives, yet never truly permit themselves to desire something genuinely grand? How many say, "If it happens, it happens. Whatever I get is a bonus," or "You can't have it all"? These phrases might appear humble, but deep within they conceal fear. Fear of desiring and failing to achieve, fear of disappointment, and ultimately, fear of embracing the responsibility that comes with winning. There was a time when I too lived in this manner, constantly oscillating between the desire to grow and the paralyzing fear of failure. I wrote, I studied, I observed, but my own belief system still hobbled on crutches. Until the day I received a letter from a simple man who was tirelessly struggling to provide for his family. He described in raw, heartfelt words his exhaustion with promising change, only to see everything remain exactly the same. That letter struck me like a physical blow. I spent many nights reflecting on its contents until I decided to respond not with consolation, but with a probing question. What do you truly believe about money and about yourself? Several months later, another envelope arrived. The tone was entirely different. He had ceased viewing himself as a victim, begun organizing his thoughts, actively eliminating self-sabotaging habits, and choosing his words with greater care. And for the first time, he reported genuine hope. This brought me a silent, profound joy, the kind that makes no outward sound but transforms everything within. It was then that I understood that when belief changes, it first alters one's demeanor, then one's choices, and ultimately one's destiny. The transformation wasn't external, it began from within. Many overlook a crucial truth. The human brain responds directly to what it believes is possible. Research conducted as early as the 20th century already demonstrated that expectation alters behavior, energy, and even physical resistance. When an individual believes they will succeed, they tolerate greater effort, persist for longer durations, and perceive solutions where previously only obstacles existed. Conversely, when they believe they will fail, they give up sooner, fatigue more quickly, and begin to perceive problems at every turn. In essence, belief not only dictates how much you earn, but also the extent of your capacity to persist, and ultimate success is often simply a matter of persisting longer than everyone else. Now, tell me with complete honesty, do you truly believe you were born to merely survive or to genuinely prosper? Most people exist in the lukewarm neutrality of whatever happens, happens. They don't allow themselves to desire much, simply to avoid potential disappointment. But life does not honor indifference. It responds to clarity, resolve, and firm decisions. Where there is no decision, there is repetition. Where there is no conviction, there is stagnation. The individual who doesn't believe they can improve their life transforms every opportunity into a perceived threat. The one who believes, however, transforms even crises into stepping stones. And here lies a sensitive point that few possess the courage to confront. Many individuals fear becoming rich more than they fear remaining poor. Because wealth fundamentally alters relationships, habits, and even how you perceive yourself in the mirror. And not everyone is prepared to relinquish the identity of the helpless victim, the perpetual sufferer, or the wronged individual. Poverty, however painful, offers a ready supply of excuses. Wealth, however, demands responsibility. And most people recoil from responsibility precisely because it strips away all their justifications. If at this juncture everything I am sharing resonates with you, then I have a simple, direct request. If this content is truly speaking to your mind and heart, please click the like button and subscribe to this channel right now. This seemingly small gesture is vital. It keeps this transformative space alive, ensures this message reaches a wider audience, and allows this work to continue empowering those still imprisoned by their own limiting beliefs. When you offer your support, you multiply its impact. And those who multiply good ideas inevitably expand their own future horizons. Let's return to the fundamentals. Every time you tell yourself you are incapable, you reinforce that limitation. Every time you perceive yourself as unworthy, you strengthen scarcity's grip. Every time you settle for crumbs, you instruct the world on how to treat you. Life responds to your stance. That stance is born from your belief. It's not money that transforms people. It's the belief that transforms money in people's lives. Those who believe they will always face hardship will always find it. Those who believe they will always find a way, do. Not because the path magically appears, but because a trained mind learns to see what a defeated mind overlooks. Look around you. How many lie waiting for that big break? Meanwhile, they let hundreds of small opportunities pass them by every day. A mind conditioned by scarcity disdains humble beginnings. A mind aligned with prosperity understands that every mighty river starts as a mere trickle. Wealth isn't born in spectacular leaps. It's built through invisible movements, repeated daily, guided by the right belief. The person who believes little asks for little, tries little, and achieves little. The person who believes more asks more of themselves, tries more times, and even when failing isn't defined by the fall. They are defined by the next step. Poverty keeps its gaze fixed on the ground. Prosperity teaches you to look ahead. And looking ahead is a decision, not a condition. If you understand this now, even if you don't yet see any material results, know this: something has already begun to shift within you. Because the first change never happens in your bank account. It happens in the kind of thoughts you tolerate within your own mind. And from that moment on, no repetition is ever the same as the one before. At a certain point in my journey, I found myself before a mirror that didn't reflect my face. It reflected my own insecurity. I had already heard stories, studied cases, known men of fortune and men ruined, but there was still a silent vestige of doubt within me. And it was precisely during this period that I went through one of the most bitter phases of my life. Resources were scarce, answers weren't coming, and I felt the weight of responsibility tighten in my chest like a knot. There were days I would walk for many blocks just to gather my thoughts, trying to understand why. Even believing in the power of the mind, I still experienced so much instability. One of those nights, after hours awake, I made a decision that was both simple and terrible. I would no longer allow fear to be the counselor of my choices. That decision didn't bring immediate joy. It brought tears, because abandoning fear is like abandoning a crutch that, even though it hurts, provides a sense of support. But it was there that something began to turn. The emotional reaction that stayed with me for weeks wasn't euphoria. It was a restrained, silent cry. one of those that cleanse the soul. It was at that moment that I vividly understood that belief isn't just a beautiful thought. It's a daily commitment to a new identity, even when everything around insists on appearing the same. The truth is, most people claim to believe in prosperity, but live as if they expect failure. They wake up thinking about what could go wrong. They leave home anticipating difficulties. They return tired, confirming all their own negative prophecies, and at the end of the day, they conclude that life is hard. But what taught life to be hard was repeated belief. Thought prepares the ground where reality will grow. This isn't poetry, it's structure. Studies of human behavior conducted over the first decades of this century have shown that expectation shapes performance, resistance to effort, and even the ability to withstand pressure. The person who expects little of themselves delivers little. The person who demands more from their own mind builds an invisible muscle called persistence. And persistence is the cement that supports all lasting wealth. Have you ever noticed how people get used to living on the edge, always with a rope around their neck, always in debt, always justifying, always postponing? And when a chance to change arises, they say, "Now isn't the time." But the right time never comes for those trapped by the wrong belief. Tomorrow is built with the kind of thoughts you tolerate today. If today you tolerate fear, tomorrow you will inherit its consequences. If today you tolerate doubt, tomorrow you will reap indecision. If today you tolerate self-sabotage, tomorrow you will receive scarcity in increasingly predictable doses. There's a question that separates two roads in life. Do you see yourself as a cause or as an effect? Those who see themselves as an effect will always depend on circumstances, their boss, luck, the government, the economy. Those who see themselves as a cause begin to look inward before blaming the world. And this shift is painful because it demolishes excuses, but it's also liberating because it returns control of your own story. The greatest poverty isn't a lack of money, it's surrendering control of your own destiny. Here's a point almost no one likes to hear. It's not a salary that keeps someone trapped in scarcity. It's their mindset. There are people who earn little and prosper, and there are people who earn a lot and live in debt. Money merely amplifies what a person already is on the inside. In a disorganized mind, money becomes an escape. In a weak mind, it becomes an addiction. In a prepared mind, it becomes a tool. The value isn't in the money itself, it's in the consciousness that wields it. Sometimes fear hides behind prudence. A person says they're cautious, but in reality they're terrified. They say they're waiting for the right moment, but in truth, they're fleeing the risk of growth. And growth is frightening because it demands abandoning old versions of yourself. It requires leaving behind the victim narrative. It requires stopping the telling of stories to justify a small life. Wealth begins when you tire of explaining yourself to yourself. Now, at this point in our journey, I propose the one and only challenge of this entire message. Just one. Simple, direct, and profound. For 30 days, rigorously monitor everything you say about money, success, opportunities, and yourself. No statement of defeat can leave your mouth without being immediately corrected. No jokes about failure. No declarations of incapacity. No prophecies of scarcity. At the end of these 30 days, observe your demeanor, your decisions, and the types of opportunities you begin to notice. You won't just harvest external changes. You will first feel the shift in how you carry yourself through life. This is the initial dividend of abundance. Perhaps you're thinking now, will this really work for someone like me? That question in itself already reveals belief trying to protect itself. And I return it with another question. If it doesn't work, what exactly do you lose by trying to change your own thoughts for 30 days? Fear wants to keep you still. Faith wants to set you in motion. Between staying put and moving forward, there is only one possible choice for those who wish to break free from mental poverty. Over the years, I have seen people who never managed a large sum of money lose everything because they continued to see themselves as poor. And I have seen few, very few, build a prosperity that withstood crises, illnesses, and economic downturns because their belief was unshakable. They weren't perfect people. They were determined people. The right belief doesn't prevent the fall, but it transforms the fall into training, not defeat. Your financial life at this very moment is an accurate reflection of what you believe about deserving, capability, and possibility. It's not wrong, it's consistent. And that can hurt, but it can also liberate, because what was created by one belief can be transformed by another. Wealth begins when a person understands they don't need to change the world. They need to change the image they hold within themselves. And when that image changes, the world, without quite understanding why, begins to respond differently. If something within you has stirred up to this point, pay attention. That restlessness is a sign that an old belief has begun to lose ground. And all true change begins exactly like this, with a discomfort that pushes one out of the invisible prison where they themselves learn to reside. There is a decisive moment in every human being's life when they discover they aren't fighting against the world. They're fighting against their own internal programming. Most don't even realize this. They wake early, work hard, face silent humiliations, endure privations, and still remain trapped under the same invisible ceiling. And why doesn't this ceiling break? Because it's not made of concrete. It's made of belief. The human mind is fertile ground. Any seed it accepts grows. If it accepts the seed of fear, it grows deep roots. If it accepts the seed of possibility, it reaches for the sun. And the most dangerous part is that most seeds were planted without conscious consent. Phrases heard in childhood, poorly digested defeats, examples of failure repeated at home, speeches of resignation that appear prudent but are merely slow surrender. At a certain point in my career, I closely observed the rise of a young man who carried something exceptionally rare in his eyes: conviction before proof. Thomas Edison faced public ridicule, successive failures, financial losses, and the label of persistent madman. Many called him a stubborn fool. He could have accepted that image. He could have retreated. He could have settled for the common standard. But his mind didn't accept defeat as an identity. Every error was just a course correction. Every fall, an invisible step. While others saw wasted attempts, he saw accumulated learnings. And this is exactly how correct belief operates. It doesn't eliminate failure, but reconstructs it internally as the raw material for victory. I don't cite this story to glorify the outcome, but to reveal the mechanism. The difference was never in the stumbles. It was in the interpretation he gave them. Most people don't fail because they make too many mistakes. They fail because they interpret error as a final sentence. A failure becomes an identity. A no becomes a prophecy. A loss becomes destiny. And this is how the walls of the mental prison take shape. One begins by saying, "This isn't for me." Then it evolves into, "Perhaps it's not for anyone." And finally one concludes, "The world truly is unfair." The cycle is complete. The limiting belief has triumphed. It doesn't matter how much money someone earns if this invisible battle isn't won first, because what remains unorganized within will always manifest as disorganization without. There's a silent trap that ensnares millions of people, confusing comfort with security. Comfort keeps a person exactly where they are. True security only exists when one trusts in oneself. Many remain in scarcity, not because they enjoy it, but because it's familiar. The unknown is frightening. Abundance demands new decisions, new habits, new responsibilities, and this generates an anxiety that most prefer to avoid. The mind says, "Stay put. At least here you know the extent of the pain." And so people trade the possibility of growth for the predictability of suffering. There was a time in my life when I faced a choice that seemed minor, but carried immense weight. An invitation to speak publicly, before people I considered superior to myself. My initial reaction wasn't enthusiasm. It was a knot in my stomach, cold sweat on my hands, an almost paralyzing fear. I spent days trying to concoct excuses to decline. No one would know. No one would judge me. Everything would stay the same. But in a silent dawn, I understood something that struck me like lightning. Every time I evaded the next step, I was teaching my mind that it was incapable of ascending. I accepted the invitation, trembling internally. My words came out shaky at first. My heart pounded as if it wanted to escape my chest. But something shifted that day, not in the applause, but within me. As I stepped down from that platform, I didn't feel superior to others. I felt greater within myself. And that feeling doesn't create euphoria. It generates a calm, solid, silent courage. From that moment on, something began to align differently. External life would still take time to respond, but internal life had already changed. Human behavioral science had already demonstrated, as early as the first decades of this century, that expectation shapes performance. When an individual believes they are capable, they activate internal reserves of energy that seemed non-existent. Fatigue takes longer to set in, persistence grows, creativity expands. When one believes they are not capable, the body gives up before the mind, and the mind gives up even before the attempt. This means that belief doesn't just alter financial results, it changes the physiology of effort, the tolerance for frustration, the ability to await the harvest. And no wealth endures for those who cannot bear to wait. Have you ever noticed how some people give up when they're just one step away from success? They claim to have tried everything, but in reality, they tried almost everything. And almost everything never builds anything lasting. The wrong belief manifests as haste. The right belief manifests as consistency. The mentally poor want to get rich quickly because they want to escape pain. The mentally rich build slowly because they understand the value of structure. One wants to flee failure. The other wants to master the process. Ask yourself honestly, do you flee from pain or build strength? Do you run from difficulties or use them as training? Do you see yourself as someone who endures the process or someone who merely dreams of the outcome? These answers don't reside in theory. They live in small, invisible, daily decisions. In the hour you wake up, in the kind of thoughts you tolerate when facing a problem, in how you speak about yourself when you're tired. Belief isn't revealed in speeches, it's revealed in habits. There's a silent phrase that governs the destiny of millions. This is as far as I can go. Some utter it too soon. Others never dare to question it. But it's not a law of the universe. It's merely an old opinion repeated so often that it began to seem like truth. Financial poverty is often just the ultimate consequence of a poverty of expectation. Those who expect little from life receive little from life. Not as punishment, but by consistency. Perhaps now you realize that your bank account was never just about money. It has always been a reflection of how much you believe you deserve, how much you trust in your own capacity to sustain something greater, how much you allow yourself to shed your old identity. Wealth isn't born when money arrives. It's born when one stops escaping their own strength. If something within you begins to stir upon hearing this, know that it's not fleeting enthusiasm. It's the old belief being confronted by a new possibility. And when possibility resides long enough within the mind, it begins to demand action. And when action begins, destiny sooner or later is compelled to move alongside it. There comes a point in the journey where one realizes they can no longer pretend not to know. They've listened, reflected, felt the discomfort, recognized their own patterns, and now only two options remain: revert to the old way of living, or cross, once and for all, the invisible boundary that separates those who merely survive from those who begin to build. At this juncture, it's no longer a lack of money that keeps someone trapped. It's the attachment to one's old identity. Because changing a belief is, at its core, accepting to die to an outdated version of oneself. And few people speak about the pain of this process. They desire wealth, but cannot bear the internal grieving that precedes ascent. For many years, I observed people who ardently desired to prosper, but at the first sign of real transformation, they recoiled. It wasn't the difficulty that frightened them. It was the need to abandon the story they told about themselves, the story of the honest poor, the struggling worker, the person who tries but never quite succeeds. These narratives provide identity. They give meaning to pain, but they also keep the person exactly where they've always been. Poverty, when it becomes an identity, begins to be defended as if it were a virtue, and this is one of the cruelest deceptions the mind can create. True change never begins in the wallet. It starts when one stops asking for permission to dream big, when they stop apologizing for desiring more, when they understand that wanting to prosper isn't greed, it's responsibility. Because constant scarcity robs not only comfort, but also generosity. Those who constantly live on the edge cannot help, cannot expand, cannot serve on a larger scale. Well-directed wealth amplifies good. Prolonged poverty limits even good intentions. Throughout life, I've understood that the world doesn't reward those who need. It responds to those who are prepared. And preparation isn't just technical study. It's emotional readiness, mental stability, discipline of thought. The person who lives reacting to fear will never be prepared to sustain something great. They might even receive a substantial sum of dollars, but will lack the internal structure to preserve it. What arrives without preparation departs without resistance. Preparation is the invisible vault of prosperity. Perhaps you now realize that there aren't two destinies, the destiny of the rich and the destiny of the poor. There is only the destiny consistent with the dominant belief. It's not luck that defines the harvest. It's the vision one cultivates while still having nothing. The field of the mind is sown every single day, whether you want it or not. Either you consciously plant the belief in possibility, or neglect plants the belief in limitation, and no land remains fallow for long. If, throughout this journey, something has been reorganizing within you, don't expect the world to change suddenly. True changes first manifest as a strange tranquility, a kind of silent steadfastness, a new way of looking at problems, a refusal to accept the old voice that says, "This isn't going to work." It's a type of hope that isn't loud, it's stable, it's mature. It's as if the soul stops running in circles and begins to walk in a straight line. Wealth, before being an accumulation of value, is a state of inner permission. One only receives what they feel authorized to have from within. Many claim to want to prosper, but when opportunity arrives, they feel guilt, fear, strangeness, as if they are betraying their own story. But it's not betrayal, it's evolution. A seed doesn't betray the earth when it becomes a tree. It merely fulfills its function. Your belief was never a secondary detail of your life. It has always been the central axis. Everything has revolved and continues to revolve around what you truly believe, not just what you claim to believe. The day you decide with serenity and firmness that you will no longer live below what you can become, something profound begins to move. It's not magic, it's alignment. And now, perhaps, you're realizing that this content isn't just about money. It speaks about dignity, capability, responsibility, and freedom. It speaks about stopping the inheritance of limits that weren't created by you. It speaks about choosing for the first time what kind of life you truly want to sustain. If at any point you thought of someone while hearing all this, someone who lives burdened by fears, debts, guilt, or the feeling they were born to suffer, do something simple and powerful. Share this video with that special person. Sometimes a single seed planted in the right heart changes an entire generation. I continue here, walking with those who have chosen to grow internally before succeeding externally. And as long as this decision keeps echoing within you, there's always one more step forward waiting to be taken. Let's move forward together, and I'll see you in the next video.